We are back with another juicy conversation for the Elevate series. And today, I mean, I don't say this lightly, but it actually is a really big, deep honor to have this conversation with Mari Smith. I started following Mari at the very beginning of my career. She was the queen of Facebook. Now, in my opinion, the queen of human design, on top of many other things. What we really want to sit down and talk about today is, the overwhelm and uncertainty that you might be faced with, this AI disruption and what's going to be unfolding in 2026. How does that affect social media marketing? And really, all of that aside, how can you get into alignment and really, create in the world what feels right for you, both environmentally, the impact, the feelings that you want to feel, and really kind of regain a sense of hope and control. So we have a big job to do, Mari. Are you up?
Yes, indeed. No worries. I'm
Yeah.
up for it.
And just thank you so much for being here. I'd love to start by putting you in the hot seat, if I may. I've got a pretty big question for you. Are you up for it?
Let's do it.
So I like to start with a pretty broad question of what is in your head and heart to share with humanity today? And that's a big question because you are full of wisdom and insight and predictions, I'm sure. But what's the message that's been really stirring in you lately that if this were your one chance to get it out to humanity, what would you say?
Wow. Let's see if my mind will structure the thoughts the way that I want to. There's no question, Amber, that we as a society, we as human beings on this beautiful planet Earth are in midst of a massive change, global change. And I know we'll talk a wee bit about the human design system as we progress in our conversation today. And human design does actually have an answer, if you will, or an explanation of the cycle. So what's happening is we are going through the completion of a 412-year cycle. It's to do with Pluto. It culminates on February 15, 2027. And we start a brand new cycle on that day of 412 years. So if you think of like a clock metaphor, we're like at the 11th hour and like 59th minute. And
it
so
feels like it too.
Right. And you'll hear a variety of people. I love listening to like Pam Gregory, British astrologer, people that channel, or people that are way into the spiritual weeds and talk about Three-Eye Atlas and all these really esoteric subjects. And for some people, just even knowing, okay, we are in midst of this huge planetary change. And then also with human design explains about the physiology, the biology of our beings is mutating. We're becoming more aware of spirit. We're actually, the solar plexus center in the body graph is morphing and mutating, and we have a new being will start to be born come February of 27 onwards. And we may or may not, experience that whole lot of it in our lifetimes, but just laying that foundation of context, going, whoa, okay, it's not just the chaos and the madness and everything's rapidly speeding up and there's AI. Well, AI is part of this evolution. And I am very slowly starting to ever so slightly shift my view of like, what is this AI for? There's a massive cacophony. It's just noisy. It's pressure. It's busy. I've been leading some trainings for my audience called Stop the Madness, because it's just like chaos. It's utter chaos out there. But what I'm starting to catch glimpses of a variety of thought leaders that I listen to is, what if AI were here to handle some of the really mundane chores, tasks, duties that we have in our day-to-day work, to free up that time so we could be more present with our clients, with our family, with our children, in nature, with our animals. So that's an aspect of it. But I really feel that no matter what, whether anybody is remotely interested in checking out human design and having their chart run and learning a bit more about it, having reading, whether that resonates with them or not, there's other, bodies of work out there, is to know that your genes, your biology, your physical body, this vehicle that we ride around in, is fully equipped to handle whatever change is coming. The trick is not to be really all up in the head and buying into the fear and the FOMO and the chaos and the absolute programming that we're supposed to quote keep up. I have no idea what actually keep up even means. I don't think even Sam Altman keeps up, right? You have to be discerning and choose, what am I going to keep up on, right?
Yeah.
And feed our mind with good, solid, nurturing and nourishing information.
Wow. Okay.
We'll just
See,
start
I
there.
told you, everyone. I warned you that this was going to be an explosive episode. So something that I think about, Mari, is I totally agree with you. I think AI is here to help us with the mundane tasks. I'm hoping it is to free us up to really unlock our creativity and innovation in a different kind of way. And I
Yeah.
really believe that, connection is supposed to be a part of that. Collaboration, more of the village as opposed to the individual.
Yeah.
And I think that in and of itself is going to completely change, global systems, of course. But I really think that if the individual can take this time to, okay, acknowledge I am overwhelmed, I am exhausted. This is too much information coming at me at an accelerated rate that I can even contain. So, how can I discern?
Yeah.
And then, even though I have that awareness, I'm not going to choose to live there and have it take me down. Instead, I'm going to shift into a state of self care and curiosity. And I'm going to really pay attention to my body in this moment. And when
Mm.
it's telling me I'm overwhelmed, maybe I go take a nap. Maybe I go take a walk. Maybe I listen to soothing music. Maybe I pick up the phone and have a real heart to heart conversation with a friend. And once that cup is filled back up again, that's when we can move into the world in creativity. What am I seeing are the challenges and problems, and what can I do to be a part of the solution? And I
Mm.
think human design perfectly like dovetails into that, because from my experience with you so far, we will continue the experience. It's really helping me to see my natural rhythms and my cycles. When I need to rest versus when I can move out into the world, and just understanding my makeup a little bit better to really maximize my potential in the world. So is that a fair thing to say, do you think?
It absolutely is. You see, here's the thing. You know this phrase, like fit in. People really deeply, deeply conditioned that they're supposed to fit in. Well, there's some of us who really are not. And you can see it in the circuitry of the human design body graph. Highly individual way shore. That's me, that's you. You're very individual. You're the way shore, and you have to trust your own gut about, everybody's going that way. You know that saying, like everybody zigs, you're going to zag, or whatever, the other way around. And so trust that, because it's the more empowered, individually sovereign, autonomous, empowered that you are, people be like, whoa, well, Amber's, I feel empowered just watching her, just following her. She's a way shore. And it's about expressing these genes in a way that lights us up. But 2/3 of the world are generator types, generator or manifesting generator. We have consistent, reliable, always on access to this deep sacral energy, sacral or sacral. And so it's this motor, it's this generative life force that's juicy. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go out in the world and build something, but it has to light you up. So anyone listening to this is like, if you're in any kind of situation, whether it's your work or a environment or even a relationship, and you're just feeling depleted, maybe
Yeah.
frustrated, just like it's draining, it's not generating, it's degenerating. Really have a good hard look at that, because it may well be your gut, your body, with the incredible depth of wisdom. Your body's going, hello, you might want to pivot and go work on that dream that you've had forever. Stop letting your mind tell you that, oh no, I can't do it, and what if I fail, and all the stuff that our mind does to us.
I want to go deeper on that because that's really interesting. I actually think most people I talk to on a daily basis, and these are leaders or emerging leaders, these are people who are heart centered, wanting to help others, and yet they are so depleted. That is exactly the word that comes to mind. So tell me more about tapping into your body's wisdom in that way and how to work with it. What does that look like?
Yeah. So So first of all, with the 2/3 of the world being the generative type, so it's either a generator or a manifesting generator. I was just reminding myself of your chart. You are actually
Yeah.
a manifesting generator. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. So you got that energy from the sacral coming right up to the throat. And so I would say like how to work with the wisdom of your body. The 2/3 of the world, as I just said, like look to see where that energy is rising in your body. You feel that expansion, that like, ooh, this pulling forward of like, this is lighting me up. I like to use this example, for me in my career. I've been studying human design for 5 years now. I'm a certified analyst. I've studied the business side of it. I work with the International Human Design School. And then there's also the BG5 Business Institute, which is the business application of human design. It's like these building blocks called a penta. If you get the right people in the right 3 to 5 like pods, it creates this new morphogenic field whose sole purpose is growth. So
Mm,
that's like, put a pin in that. That's something that it's a big conversation at some point, folks might want to explore. But coming back to the individual, of tapping into that energy of going, okay, what is my body, my physiology feeling like? I call like champagne bubbles, or like there's an expansion or a rising up, an available energy. Conversely, it would be a contracting, a tightening, a sinking kind of feeling. And the example I was about to share is, I get invited to be on a podcast. And, for my first few years of experimenting with this system, I would be like tuning into my sacral. Now, my sacral is unconsciously defined. I have the 214 like you do too, that individual way shore. But mine is unconscious, and it's split off from the rest of my definition of all this activations up in my head and ajna and throat. And so it's really taken me time to feel into, oh, this is a real resounding yes. This is an uplifting yes, versus a head yes would look like, well, and not for you, but other invitations would be,
I
well, oh,
should.
I said yes the last
Yeah,
time. What are they going to think? Or maybe I could make a lot of money. Or all this chatter. As soon as the chatter goes, you're out of your body. You are in the head with the looping.
that's super helpful. Yep.
Yeah, not self-talk. And so differentiating between what is the chatter of the mind, which the key is usually looping thought, something you think about first thing in the morning, you're in the shower, you're driving, something that's looping around and around. That's just the mind. You call it the mind or my mind. Separate it out and go, okay, tune back into the body. Now, to be fair, there's different types out there and there's different authorities. I know yours is the solar plexus. So waiting out that emotional wave is to give yourself time for big decisions, right? You're laughing because you can relate. It's like, no, you're not designed to be spontaneous. You really are not. So it's not making fast decisions until you sleep on it. You have clarity. And these are bigger decisions, obviously. And guess what? 47% of the world is these slow, taking their time, feeling into it. Let me get back to you. I got to sleep on it. When do you need to know by? But look at the marketing world of this crazy pressure we put on people. Midnight tonight, set up now, you snooze, you lose, countdown timers. I mean, some of that works. I use countdown timers, but you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere, but not to push people so hard. And I love to weave this into my marketing. I'll be like, would you like to sign up? Is this correct for you? Take your time. So it's just a beautiful thing when we can give permission to people to really drop into who they were genetically born to be.
I'm so glad that you weave back into marketing, because that's exactly where my head went. I mean, a lot of people in my audience, Mari, they say, I don't like social media. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't like marketing, but I really want to help people. I want to make an impact and I want this business to be successful.
Yeah.
And it's just this, like they have a split feeling and thought about it. And so over the years, what I have tried to do is strengthen the relationship with the audience, and how they look at marketing. Like if marketing could be, you are there to help one person one-on-one, it's a two-way channel, it's an invitation, it's all about connection, then, you can almost not get caught up in the side of you that feels like, oh, it's a drain, it's a pull, I don't like it. And so even on a topic like marketing, if we could feel two ways about a thing, how can we strengthen the one that has the champagne bubbles that gives me that expansion and activation toward what I really want? instead of buying into the parts of like, oh, I hate this and I don't want to do it this way.
Mm,
Create your own model for what you
yeah,
wish social media would be like. And that gives you that creator energy, and
yeah.
it's that creator generating connection, highest self energy that ultimately will attract in your ideal audience anyway, because you're like a little light bulb. And you
Yes.
don't have to buy into what everybody else is saying is like, you have to do it this way, because that's what's creating that drain for you potentially, if you're in my audience anyway.
Yeah, yeah, so we probably move in some similar circles, and you got people out there who have, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'll mention him, a lot of people know him, a longtime industry friend. Okay, he has a 3,000 person agency. He has a whole team dedicated to his social media, and he's out there telling you to post 10 times a day on 7 different platforms. Now, I love Gary. We go way back to like 2007. And I tell my audience, look, if that lights you up and you're energized by it, go for it. For the vast majority, 95% of people are like, overwhelm. I can barely
Couldn't do
post
it.
once a day on a couple of platforms.
Right.
So, and I do want to just speak briefly to the projectors, because they're the second most popular. 22.5% of the world is projectors. They don't have that consistent, reliable access to the sacral energy. They are brilliant advisors and guides. They're called advisors in the business language, and they're here to guide that energy of the 2/3 of the planet.
Helpful.
And so with their marketing, you mentioned the word invite, and that is their strategy, to wait for the invitation. And it can be so frustrating. Their not self signature is bitterness. So you got a lot of bitter projectors who are just like anxiously waiting for the right invitation, trying to force and like putting things out there, and like the
Interesting.
mind going, okay, Gary Vee said to do it this way, I'll just do it this way. And to your point, Amber, what you ended up putting out to the universe is like this static frequency
Yes.
versus this purity of heart and soul and mind, and you're just aligned, and you're like,
You're like,
well, no expectation. Oh, I hope this thing's going to go viral. Oh no, it didn't go viral. Oh, I'm a loser, I'm a failure. It's like, just watch that kind of tendency to try to buy into the
yes.
proven way. I love what you just said a minute ago. Come up with your own model of what really works for you. And the key for the projectors of the world, their signature is success. They get their success through others, ideally one-on-one. You just said a minute ago about reaching through the screen and, and connecting with your audience one-on-one. And then you've got your manifestors, 10% of the world. They're like really impactful, initiating and starting things, getting the ball rolling. Us builders, us generators, getting all the busy work done. And then our 1.5% is the reflectors, where they're really beautiful at evaluating and seeing difference in the world.
Wow, this is so helpful. So, one thing that I really want to ask you, because you have watched the whole creation of the internet marketing world,
Yeah.
and I'm curious, with your vantage point of what you now know with human design, to the depth that you have, you've seen all of these different types, you know yourself really well. Then you've seen the whole rise of the internet marketing world and all of its ups and downs and loop-de-loos. And now you see the AI component coming in. I'm curious, I have to ask you, like, what do you think is ahead for us in the next year or 3 years? Like, what are some of your predictions? I've just got to know, in terms of either marketing or humanity to the individual level, whether they're employees or entrepreneurs, wherever you want to take that question. I'm just curious, what's your sense about what we can expect moving forward?
I'm going to cite another amazing leader that I appreciate, and that's Tom Bilyeu. Have you had Tom on your show, in your series?
No, I have not yet,
Not
but I
yet, right?
love that guy.
I really respect Tom. I mean,
Yes, me too.
he can be edgy, and I mean, so can
Yeah.
Gary. A lot of people like the edginess. I observe these folks, and I take aspects of them. So one of the things that Tom said many months ago, it was in one of his emails, and I just picked this up and ran with it for my own audience. He said by 2027, 90%, I think it's 90, isn't 90? Yeah, 90% of content is just going to be fake AI content. And so content is becoming a commodity. People with, the ability, the resources, tap a few buttons, AI will crank out your content, including deep fakes, right? Videos of yourself. And what Tom says is the only moat, right? Putting that big old river around your castle is community. community. So connecting with people, hosting lives like you're doing here, hosting AMAs, Zooms, but also I'm really seeing that in-person events, I was about to say making a comeback, but I mean, it's been 5 years since COVID, but I think that these like small group masterminds or maybe larger events, but just having that communion in aura, in person with others, AI cannot ever replace that. And so that's what I see. We'll probably see a lot more turning up the volume, turning up the dial on the cacophony, the craziness, the massive leaps and advancement in terms of how AI is going to integrate into every aspect of our life. From the Internet of Things to stuff ordering things for you and agents going off and booking things for you. And I don't know about giving it so much free control for me personally right now, but I do believe that as we go forward, especially as I said, this landmark date in February of 27, the background frequency of the whole planet is going to shift from what we've had 4 centuries of planning and infrastructure and bargains and mutual support, governments, institutions, top-down leadership. Boom, it's going to shift into the empowered individual, the sovereign, autonomous, wait a minute, I can be my own authority. I can show up as the whole being and function interdependently with others in community, online and offline. I don't need to be going out with my hand out going, take care of me, take care of me, take care of me. I can take care of myself. And I'm excited. I think, honestly, I mean,
I just got chills everywhere.
this is in the weeds of the woo-woo and the esoteric, but I swear to God, I really feel that everybody alive on the planet right now, we are here to usher in this new frequency. We're doulas of this new era. It's a absolute privilege to be alive on the planet right now. The secret, though, is do not allow that chatter of the mind to run your life. It's just mind. You drop back into the physiology of the body and really, really that whole saying that the body's a temple, you just take deep, deep care of your body. You gave some beautiful examples earlier of just that deep self-care. I love the teacup metaphor you use, because I always say, like, you want to give from your saucer, right? The spills from the saucer. So your cup has to be full. Don't be giving from your cup. That's for you.
Yeah, it's been interesting because in my 20s and 30s, it was all about giving everything that I possibly could away and staying as consistent as possible. But then something shifted in my 40s where it was really about, taking back that my own authority and that independence and really being enough for myself. And what you saw was that completely shifted my business model. And I started taking a lot more breaks, like a lot more boundaries. And, there's the fear when you first do it of like, oh my gosh, people aren't going to like it. There's going to be pushback. And then, all of that. When I say no or tell them they can't talk to me after 5 p.m. or I'm going on vacation and I'm really out of here. But actually the opposite happened. What I noticed, and I just even got an email from someone yesterday, a big, big influencer, and she said, I'm so impressed by your boundaries. I wish that I could be more like that. So it turns out that, I was so afraid of it for so many years and probably in and out of burnout constantly. Then I really thought, you know what? I've got to take care of myself because of how abundant my giving can be, how abundant my impact can be. It's actually a disservice to humanity if I'm not taking better care, took the risk, people actually respected it. Then I started feeling this urgency, this time sensitivity, Mari. So it's so funny that you're talking about February of 2027, because like so much is making sense to me in this moment.
Yeah.
But there was that calling to come out with infinite impact. And I had the time frame that I was given was 7 weeks from getting the notice to write the book to having a final locked manuscript. I'd never written a book before. And the book that I thought I was going to write is not the book that emerged. The book that emerged was all about how to get into alignment. And back then I'm like, alignment, I don't even know if I've ever said that before. So I created this whole framework, then getting other people into alignment, including myself, taking more time to really honor that when I recharge, the more impactful ideas come, right? I call them downloads, but
Yeah.
these ideas come that are birthed out to help other emerging leaders prepare for what will be this transition. So I'm personally feeling high resonance with what you were talking about, and I imagine some people are listening and they might have a sense of it, but maybe not this full clarity that I'm experiencing in the moment, and that's okay too.
Mm.
With that, I want to dovetail back into human design. And for people that have never heard of it before, they have heard perhaps me talk about the importance of alignment and growing
Mhm.
your business out of that alignment. So everything happens more naturally. You're taking better care of yourself. And now with this conversation, you're better able to birth in this new transition of the next 412 years. How can human design play with an individual like that? And what can they expect on the other side of understanding their profile to better help them stay anchored in this time of disruption and to be a part of the solution, and guiding us forward? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I believe so. Yeah. So let's see if I can have a stab at it. I think that human design is a vast, vast body of knowledge. It came around in 1987. That's how long it's been around. And it's a fusion of Eastern and Western astrology, the ancient book of wisdom, the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah, chakras, but then also it's physiology, it's astronomy, quantum physics, and biochemistry. So it's this fusion of all these disciplines, sciences, esoteric and exoteric, that never existed before. And so it's the tracking of the planets around this, what's called a mandala or wheel. And you got the 64 gates or mapped to the hexagrams of the I Ching. And by the way, mapped to the 64 codons in our DNA. So that's where, like, physiologically, we can see what aspects of this particular vehicle in this lifetime do I need to be sensitive to. So, for example, for me, I have this way in which I take in life and food. It's called your dietary regimen or your primary health system. It's called low sound. So I moved to Ashland, Oregon in June of 23. I was in San Diego for 25 years before that, Scotland before that, Canada before that. I'm Scottish, Canadian, American, hence the accent. But I was getting to the point in San Diego where this constant hustle and bustle and the freeway noise, and it was just so,
Ugh,
and so now, and I always known about myself, I'm a sensitive. I have very sensitive body, sensitive ears, and
same.
I live in the country on 2 acres. I can barely hear a cricket at night. My neighbors are goats, so it's just like
Oh,
environment.
love that.
And then I look over a lake. It's a seasonal lake. It's a reservoir that gets filled up in the spring. So that's an aspect of it, is to really, for those listening, if it really resonates, to have a reading or do some self study, explore what the deeper layers of your chart for taking in your dietary regimen, your activity level, your environment, but just on the, if I keep it so simple, with the generators of the world and manifesting generators, they're subtypes of each other. Their strategy is to respond. So you respond. We're talking about earlier, the champagne bubbles, the rising of the energy, but also to check what is your authority. So there's different kinds of authorities. The solar plexus is the most common, the emotional, waiting out the emotional waves, no snap decisions. Truth comes over time. And the second most popular is the sacral, where you're responding to yes, no questions and just trusting that initial response. And splenic is about 10%. Anybody might have seen that. I don't watch reality TV, but a friend of mine let me know. Love is Blind UK. Excuse me. And there's a human design coach on there. He was a projector with splenic authority. And he kept saying, trust your spleen, trust your spleen. And I'm like, no, that's only for 10% of the world. Those are the people that are spontaneous. They make snap
Mhm.
decisions in the moment. And so that's the thing, just getting a sense of, okay, what type am I? Do I wait for the invitation or do I wait to respond? Are the two most common ones. And what is the authority? What is my body's way of making decisions? For some people, it's literally soundboarding, talking out loud in the presence of others to hear what you say. So even just those two things, find out what your type is in
Oh,
the
it's huge. Yeah.
strategy for the type, and your authority, which is your way of making decisions. Now, sidebar on all of this, it is not a belief system, it's not a cult, it's not a doctrine, it's an experiment. And I always loved how the founder, this gentleman called Ra Uru Hu, he was formerly known as Robert Krakauer, he was a Krakauer, he was a Canadian Montreal. He was born in, brilliant man. And he just kind of like, he's a manifester, walked away from his life in the 80s and found himself on the island of Ibiza. And so then this information came through, as I say, in 87 over a period of 8 days. And he would always say, don't trust a word I say. Try it on for yourself. And I love that they call human design an experiment. And I've experimented for now 5 years. What's that, Amber?
That's really special. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah. You just try it on. Now, I know for me, knowing myself really well, which generators are here to know themselves well. Who am I for myself so that I can show up more authentic, more aligned, more me. And then that emits through your aura. Your true self is coming through the frequency.
Yes.
Versus the static of the mind. And by the way, one more thing with the mind is for other people. This mind is the outer authority for others. So long as you're showing up and sharing your gifts and coaching and consulting and speaking and guiding and whatever it looks like for each of us, that's your gift to the world. You're an authority for others, not the mind's not for your own self.
Nobody has ever said that to me. That is so helpful. That is such a powerful way of looking at it. Wow. I love that a lot.
Yeah,
I think people give their mind way too much power. And I've been really personally focused on helping people trust their intuition more than what's going on up here. So Mari, what is the best way for people to take human design, to connect with you? How would you have people connect with you?
Absolutely. I have a beautiful page. It's just marismith.com/human design, all one word, no gaps, no capitals. So yeah, that's a great way to peek in to see. I have a free beginner's guide there. People can just check out, okay, what is this thing all about? And I've got ideas for you there to where you can go run your chart. And I would recommend, ideally, I always like to recommend the source. So it's mybodygraph.com. That's run by the founder's family. And that would be a good place to start to get your chart.
And I wanted Mari to share that because, sometimes we look at the people that we follow and we wonder, like, what's their morning routine? What are they eating? Who are they coaching with? Like, what programs are they taking? And I have no problem by publicly saying I'm hiring Mari to help me understand my human design chart even better, so that I can take care of myself better and be better for you, to support you with all of the disruption that's happening. So this is something that I am personally embarking upon and would encourage anybody else. We could even swap reports or what we learn. And Mari, it's just so personally meaningful to me that after almost 2 decades, I find you sitting here in front of me and we're having this conversation. I had no idea how alike we are, which is even more exciting to me.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you so much for sharing yourself with my audience today. It's really meaningful.
I really feel that. It brings tears to my eyes. Thank you for your graciousness and for being you and shining your light in the world.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. We will see you tomorrow morning, where I have a conversation with Joe Skaggs, a lot of nitty-gritty technical detail about AI that I think you're really going to want to know. So we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. And Mari, can't wait for our next conversation. Thank you.
My pleasure.